You have had the most disgusting attitude all day. What is your problem? You know what? Just be that way. I don't give a shit. Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new OG Maco EP. From OG Maco. This guy is an Atlanta rapper who is kinda hot right now, off some buzz that he got on a viral single titled You Guessed It. A track that ended up catching so much traction that 2 Chainz hopped on the remix. And this song was kind of a weird standout track, like a combination of trap rap and Death Grip's Guillotine. The instrumental with some synth piano and some sub bass is incredibly simple and minimal. And over this very skeletal beat, Maco just goes insane. I get that from a lyrical and a content perspective, the song doesn't have too much to offer. It's about as deep as a Migos record. But to me, this song was just too weird to completely count out. Very soon after You Guessed It got hot, Maco put out the Live Life 2 mixtape, which was kind of underwhelming to me. There were some very over-the-top tracks on this project, but much of it, in my opinion, felt kind of run-of-the-mill and ran at a very normal energy level. I was hoping Maco would bring just something stranger to the table. By this point, I was kind of feeling like You Guessed It might be a little bit of a fluke, and if Maco did end up putting out anything else in the future, it might just end up being kind of intense, but sort of one-dimensional too, kind of like that Z-Loopers mixtape Help that dropped way earlier this year. However, before 2014 came to a close, he decided to put out an EP, which isn't really an EP as much as it is a 15-track hour-long almost project. Regardless, this is the project I was looking for from Maco. It's pretty much a mixtape that feels like an album. It's got some pretty strong production on it. Lex Luger appears on this thing, Zaytoven among others who are close to Maco. This thing is not a random array of tracks. On the whole, it flows pretty well. And when he's at his best lyrically and delivery-wise, Maco is twisted, he's wild, he's threatening, intense. There are some cuts on this project whose instrumentals are very minimal, very stripped back, a lot like You Guessed It, and the song 12 Bricks 2, which is kind of an odd song. It's not really a single or that catchy of a track. It's just a very stripped back beat with Maco going nuts vocally all over the song. And in the track listing here, it kind of feels like a weird dream sequence in the middle of the record. And there are some instrumentals that are kind of reverby and very atmospheric, kind of going for a cloud rap vibe, like the opening cut here, which feels very nightmarish and introduces us to Maco being hit with the fact that he's just gotten popular and now he has to give these people more in order to continue in the rap game. And even though he sounds very ready from his delivery, there's something about the tone of the instrumental that brings an element of worry or sadness to this story. The song Fuck 'Em Times 3 too, a single Maco put out earlier this year with Migos, although they don't seem to be credited in the actual track list itself, don't know why. But this track too, with its very dreary harpsichords, is kind of depressing as Maco talks about hangarounds and haters and just fuck 'em. The song Human Nature as well has an instrumental that kind of feels like inspired by Clams Casino. There are some songs on this LP that follow more of a trap style, but are still strange, a lot like the song Seizure, which has an instrumental that is a complete whirlwind, really overwhelming. It feels like on this track, between Maco screaming his brains out and the beat, I'm just being grabbed and shaken violently. There are a few smoother cuts in the track listing here too, like the song Roadrunner. Dig this track. It's very laid back, it's very intoxicating, but a lot of these toned down songs tend to have kind of a Migos vibe to them. And when Maco isn't going completely bonkers on the mic, the fact that he's not really that great of a writer is very much exposed. I don't think his lyrics are total garbage, but he tends to kind of circle around a lot of the same themes, and there's not really much here in terms of wordplay or subtlety or subtext. And even though I think Maco is kind of eccentric in a sense, there's a lean anthem on this record, a really heavy-handed auto-tune chorus. At times he does succumb to some kind of stale trends. Now, to go back to the elephant in the room, and that has to be the lyrics. Again, there's not really much to dive into lyrically on this record. Occasionally, Maco will deliver a line talking about thuggin', drug dealing, violence that seems kind of self-aware and acknowledges the fact that this lifestyle is insane. It's dark. It's not for everyone. It's not something to be glorified or worshipped. In fact, I think a lot of the dark, mournful, stripped back, and sometimes noisy instrumentals bring that message home too. However, the few issues I do have with this LP don't really lie in its philosophy, but really its lyricism. There isn't much appealing about Maco's lyrics, not in a clever or funny way, not in a conscious way, not even in a catchy way. I think if Maco's going to continue to grow and put out better projects, he needs to think a little bit more about whether or not his lyrics are memorable and for what reason they're going to be memorable. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this thing. Tran?
No, you know what? Silence no longer. You hear? You're not good review with the hip hop because right now you're talking about just not good hip hop, not real hip hop. You gave this a 7, and then you gave the Jake Colt a 4. You're a jerk face. You're a big jerk, and you don't know real raps.